If you're focusing on the lag and the snap, you know, the lag and the snap on your forehand is doomed. There, I said it, I've come clean, and I'm going to explain why in this video. My name is Jeff Salzenstein. I'm the founder of Tennis Evolution, one of the leading online tennis instruction websites in the world. And I hear players all the time telling me that they have coaches telling them to focus on the lag and the snap on the forehand. Now, let me give you a disclaimer here. You can lag and snap if you're hitting your forehand well. But I see so many players struggling with their forehands, mishitting the ball, losing power, not getting the consistency, the feel, and the power they want because in their head, they're focusing on this concept called the lag and snap. And I want to just break all this down for you and build you back up so you have complete clarity on what you should be doing instead on your forehand. Now, the lag and snap essentially is this concept that after you make the first move, okay, you make your first move on the forehand and you drop the racket into that slot in the backswing back here, that right when you start to take the racket forward towards the ball, the racket should lag behind your hand like this. The racket head should actually flip like this and fall back in this position. And that's what we see all the pros doing. And that's what so many players are trying to model and so many coaches are trying to teach. But it's my belief that it's actually messing up more players than it's helping. And that's what we have to look for when we're helping players get better. We want to find the easy tips that make the most sense and can get you to where you want to go faster. So if you're focusing on this idea of lag and snap, now the second part of this equation, the snap, is when the hips are firing early. Okay, the hips fire and then the racket follows. And again, we see the pros doing this. It's not like it's not out there. But what we have to be careful with as players and coaches is this really helping your forehand when you focus on this concept? And I'm going to argue that it doesn't help you. Again, a small percentage are going to get benefit out of this, but you are probably struggling when you focus on this. And I want to give you an alternative to what you should focus on instead. Now, the reason why the lag and snap doesn't work is that when you get back in here, if you are thinking about lagging your racket behind the hand, if you're thinking about the backswing, it's going to mess you up. This is what I found, that when you start thinking about backswings, especially when you're playing and you're hitting, it can actually tighten you up. It makes your arm tighter back here. So you want to make sure that if you're working on lag and snap, that you're doing it in a non-competitive environment, you're doing it on a ball machine where you can really focus on it, get some video on it. But when you're hitting live or trying to play points, you shouldn't be doing this. It's going to cause more problems than good. Because what happens is when you get back in here, if you think about laying this hand back and getting this lag going here, it can tighten up your arm and your wrist. When I release or lag back with the racket head back like this, I already feel a stretch or I feel tightness in the arm. And it's my belief that you want to feel relaxed. You want your arm to feel relaxed throughout the swing. You do not want to feel tension. You don't want to force this lag where the arm goes straight and the wrist feels tight. And I see a lot of players trying to manufacture this lag and it's creating tension in the shoulder and the bicep and the arm. Tension is going to be the death of your forehand and frankly for the rest of your swings, for your serve and for even your return and your backhand. If you have too much tension, you're going to mishit the ball and you're not going to hit with the easy power that you want. So there's a lot of problems with focusing on the lag because of that backswing back here. Thinking about the backswing makes things very difficult. And that's why I like to focus on follow-throughs, making sure someone is balanced at the follow-through position. If you're loving this forehand lesson, you're going to want to check out the Topspin Forehand Secrets. Inside this program, you can transform your forehand when you build the solid mechanics that you need. And all you have to do is click below this video to check it out. Now, the snap, or getting the hips to snap through like this. If you rotate your hips early, what does that do to your head and your body? It forces you to pull off the ball. So when I see players, or I have players come to me and say, yeah, I've been taught to fire my hips first and do the lag and the snap, I see them mishitting their forehand left, right, and center, because there's too much movement. There's too much movement in the body. It's happening at the wrong time. It's forced. It's not natural. So again, for 95% of the players out there, you want to avoid the lag and the snap. For the 5%ers out there that are super advanced and they can coordinate this kinetic chain, they should do it. But I'm going to give you a solution to focus on getting cleaner hits on the ball and building your confidence. Now, the first thing that I want you to consider is that when you make your first move, forget about the lag and snap. When you make your first move, you want to feel like your arms are relaxed. You don't want to have tension here, okay? But you also want to make sure you have plenty of space. So when I make this first move, I feel pretty relaxed in my arms. Now, when I take the racket back, yes, it would be great to get it in the slot. It would be great to keep the racket on this side of the body, but I've seen players that are top 10 in the world let the racket get back here. So this is not the be-all, end-all. Making sure that you stay on this side of the body and you lag right here is not the thing that's going to solve your forehand in the short term. Maybe it's a long-term fix. But if you want to get going feeling confident on your forehand, you want to get to this position no matter what. Get to a position that looks like this. Very simple. Arm is pulled across. It's not locked out. It's also not too bent like this. And you're in this position here. Now, if you can just keep your hand relaxed, if you can just keep your hand relaxed like this with minimal tension in the hand, look at how it naturally will lag. It will naturally lag and you don't have to think about it. What happens is when you're stiff, when you take the racket back and you're gripping too tight, you can't lag. Watch what happens when I just relax my wrist, it naturally lags. If I grip very tight, this is what the racket looks like. If I relax my wrist, it naturally closes. If I relax my hand on the racket. So you want to make sure you have minimal tension in your hand when you're swinging. You don't want to be gripping tight. You also don't want to be gripping tight and trying to force this position right here with grip tension. You want this lag to happen because the arm is loose. Okay, I hope you got that. I want you to find your lag because the arm is loose. You're not getting it from forcing. Okay, you're not getting it by gripping too tight and forcing the racket here. So this is a huge concept that if your hand and your wrist are relaxed, watch what happens. If I'm relaxed and I'm still relaxed right here, I'm not gripping tight, I'm not thinking about lagging, it just naturally lays back. If I grip too tight and try to swing, look, I don't get the lag. Most of you out there are struggling because you grip the racket too tight. It's as simple as that. All you want to focus on doing is having a loose hand and wrist, especially when you take the racket back and you start to go forward. That's how you create the lag without thinking about it, without forcing it, without creating tension in your arm. Now let's get to the next part about the snap or rotating those hips. This rotation concept is killing your forehand. We hear it so much with coaches talking about how you should rotate your hips. Rotate your hips on your forehand, you'll get more power. We see the pros doing it, right? We see Nadal do it, right? Okay, you can do that when you're open stance, that makes sense. But if you're stepping in and you're in a neutral stance like this, if you move your hips too early and you lift your chest and you lift your head, which by the way is what I see 95% of all players doing, you're gonna get yourself into trouble. Your body, I call it, your body is blowing up. It's basically blowing up, you're pulling your head off the ball, you're rotating your hips too early. So here's the solution. When you swing, you have to keep your hips quiet. It's the opposite of what coaches are telling you to do, this idea of rotating the hips early. Again, the disclaimer here is that if you're an advanced player, you're developing a world-class forehand, I understand that you would want to unload the hips first and let that kinetic chain work for you. But a lot of you watching this video don't have that skill set yet, and it's better to keep your body quiet. So when you swing, if you'll notice my hips here, do you see a lot of rotation in my hips? I'm not firing my hips when I go to hit this ball. it feels like I'm barely moving my hips. I know my hips are moving, but they're not firing forcefully and they're not going early. That whole lag and snap concept, I've thrown it out. I never even considered it. When I'm hitting a ball, I'm thinking about, can I stay quiet? Now, most of you watching this aren't, again, you're not big league players yet. You're not pros. So what you want to focus on is keeping your hips and your body quiet. Watch my head. My head doesn't even move. It doesn't fire. My chest doesn't lift. Okay, you have to ignore Rafa Nadal right now, the violence of Rafa Nadal's forehand. Ignore it. And you get to focus on keeping your head down, and you just have a relaxed arm and hand. And this is where I love at the end of the swing, you can just relax your hand like this. This is the easy power I want you to practice every day. If you want to be a 3-5, 4-0, 4-5, master this concept first. Okay, master this concept. And when I finish, you'll notice my hips square to the target, but I don't fire them early and I don't think of going fast. I stay real relaxed and I let the body move naturally. I let the body just do what it's supposed to do instead of forcing it. And this is what challenges me as a coach, is because I hear players telling me how they're focusing on the lag and the snap. And I see videos all over the internet about it. And again, I'm not saying that it's wrong for the best players in the world to do this. But if you're not one of the best players in the world, you've got to get these concepts down first. A relaxed arm. You got to be holding the racket correctly. You need to be keeping your hips quiet. You notice when I swing, when I get to right here, my hips have not fired open towards the target. They've stayed right here. They've stayed quiet, and then they come through afterwards. It comes through afterwards. You don't want to go too early, especially if you have timing issues. So many players are mishitting their forehand, pulling off the ball, lifting their head, lifting their chest because they're firing and there's so much effort. Focus on relaxation and just let the arm go. Let the arm go and let the body follow. Let the arm go, let the body follow. Let the arm go, let the body follow. You don't have to over-rotate. You don't have to fire early. You don't have to lift your chest and your head. All of these things you can just throw out the window. So to summarize, what I want you to focus on is make sure you get to your first move position and you feel relaxation up in here. There's not a lot of tension. And then when you drop the racket, you should be aware of your grip tension. Are you relaxed? Are you gripping it tight? Are you gripping it like this? Or do you have your index finger spread? Make sure your grip and your grip is in the right place here and your hand is relaxed. And then when you go to swing, actually hold your hip back. Don't think about firing early. Don't do the lag and the snap. Hold your hips, let your hand go, and then let your hip come through afterwards. Give that a try and see what happens to your forehand. If you have any questions whatsoever about it or comments, you can leave it underneath this video. I definitely want you to commit to this tip. I know it can help you. It's helped me win a lot of big matches, and it's helped the players I've worked with get their forehands back on track again. Now, before we go today, I've got a special gift to share with you, a free gift. And that free gift allows you to get more lessons to help you build a solid forehand, serve, backhand, improve your strategy, injury prevention. It's inside our free membership area. No credit card required, absolutely free. And it's inside our Tennis Evolution app, so you can take the app on the court with you and learn faster and easier. I'd love for you to click below this video or inside this video somewhere. If you can't tell by now, I'm passionate about getting the right information in your hands so that you can improve faster so you don't have to struggle anymore. Thanks for your time today, and we'll see you at the next lesson.